Now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you our wonderful speaker today, Reverend Uki MacIsaac, and what a celebration today. As her new book is out, that's so exciting. And let's see, Reverend Uki was ordained at Harmony Grove and has been serving the Grove as a minister for over 25 years. Reverend Uki is also an intuitive counselor and spiritual psychic. Through her gift of clairvoyance, she empowers her clients to integrate their spiritual purpose and live a fuller, more meaningful life, having overcome life-threatening illness now more than once. Her mission is to teach, heal, and inspires others to heal themselves by connecting to the power of spirit within. Past life regression and soul retrieval are other specialties with which she serves her clients. With her beloved husband Gary, Uki resides in San Diego, North County, and together they offer popular monthly meditation and angel message events. In her own words, "My life is my ministry, and nothing that ever happened to me was by mistake. I can see the hand of God in the many twists and turns that my life has taken, and I am so blessed to walk the path of service and passion as I do the work I love." Please help me welcome Reverend Uki MacIsaac.
Good morning, lovely community.
Good morning.
It is such a joy to be here with you today. And I like how full the chairs are. So I'd like to speak to you from the heart, as I usually do, about prayer. Now, this is a topic you've heard a lot about. You probably practice it daily, or at least occasionally. But I wish to talk about prayer not as a performance, nor obligation, but a prayer as relationship, and as the soul's honest reaching. No matter what spiritual path we walk, or even if we walk without a defined path, prayer is available to all of us. It's not about saying the right words. It's about opening the heart. And the beautiful invocation by Reverend Rosemary this morning, and Rosary, that was so beautiful. It was spoken from the heart. The meditation as well, you know, it is not the formalized prayer. And of course, we also speak formalized prayer because it gives us comfort. It's familiar. It creates a resonance in our heart. But sometimes, be honest, haven't you at times just said the words while your thoughts were elsewhere? Maybe with a crisis going on in your life right now, or with the shopping list, you know. We all have a monkey mind. I call it the monkey mind, you know. Yuck, 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 yuck. And so, you know, sometimes the monkey mind won't even get quiet, even in prayer. I want to share a short personal story from my own life. There was a time I couldn't say any of the prayers that I had been taught and grown up with. They felt distant, almost hollow. I think it was at the time when I was going through divorce. I needed something that met me where I was, raw, hurting, unsure. So instead of reciting, I would simply, I just sat still, and I would place the hand over my heart and maybe just whisper, "Hello, help me." You know, that's one of the shortest prayers there is, right? And sometimes, you know, I think we all wish that at times God would manifest in blazing letters on the wall. Here's what you're supposed to do, and I will support you all along the way. Signed and dated, God. And I don't know about you, but to me that hasn't yet happened. So, but when I just whispered this little word, help, I did feel something, a quiet presence. And this, you know, it's, I like the sentence, prayer stripped off all its robes, standing barefoot and honest. And when we are really that raw, I mean, haven't we all been through a time where events of life cracked us open, right? And we felt almost like a physical pain in the heart, even maybe worried, oh my God, what is this? But the heart expresses in so many ways. And so sometimes it's just the feeling. And you know, it's interesting, who of you know Greg Braden, an author named Greg Braden? Oh, right, great. So he wrote a book about, I think he calls it the fifth mode of prayer. And he talks a lot about how different types of prayer, you know, ritualistic prayer, then there is always that one little prayer, I call it the, you know, the fireman God, you know, God, help me right now, right? And it's a form of prayer too. And it may work just as well because it comes from a place of deep emotion. Now, let's look at a more formalistic prayer. We all love, of course, the Lord's Prayer. But you know, the words are a bit ancient, aren't they? And sometimes we have to almost infuse that prayer with meaning from our own heart and mind. And I want to show you just a couple of examples how we can modernize that. Not, of course, never to discard that beautiful, classic, ancient prayer, but just listen to the difference. This line, for example, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Sounds pretty straightforward, but how about a modern interpretation? Loving source of all, within us and around us, sacred is your presence. That's a difference, yeah? We can feel it. And by the way, did you know that the word thy, which is so foreign to us today, I read that in Shakespearean times, that was actually used as a formal address. So it's almost like the opposite, right? So if we replace thy with you, are we less respectful? I don't think so. Because you know what? It's okay to feel that we can be eye to eye with God, isn't it? Instead of, you know, I mean, I assume very few of you still have the vision of an old man with a long beard sitting on a throne up there, you know, going, yay, nay, yay, nay. I don't think so. So I speak about myself. My idea of God has changed dramatically over the many years. Now, maybe another line here. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, I can feel into that, but how about a more modernized version? May your divine wisdom guide us, that peace and harmony may flourish on earth as in the realm of spirit. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? It's the same notion, but filled with more feeling nature. And coming back to Greg Braden, he had a story in this book where he was learning from a native shaman. And, you know, he lives in New Mexico, where, by the way, I'm moving to. Yep, very soon. So he lives in New Mexico, and the land was parched and dry, and people were asking for rain. And so the shaman went on top of a mountain, and Greg observed as the shaman stood still, but there was something about him. And afterwards he asked him, well, what did you do? What happened? By the way, it did begin to rain. And the shaman said, I felt into rain happening right now, vividly, with every fiber of his being. You know, and that talks a bit about co-creation, because we are co-creators with Great Spirit, yes? So when we say ritualistic prayer, which allows our mind to wander off, instead, when we can see ourselves or the ones we're praying for, or the world, which right now we know is not much at peace, but when we can use the power of our minds and emotions to envision the desired state. Can you envision a world at peace? Where people reach hand and work together across the religions, across the political beliefs? You know, let's carry that vision, even though in everyday reality, it may look like the opposite, you know, and we can still carry that vision in our heart. And when enough of us buy into that vision and we feel it, there is a good chance that it may come about. I think TM has done, transcendental meditation. They've done an experiment once where large amounts of people were envisioning LA as a peaceful community. And oh my gosh, right now it's anything less than peaceful, right? If you follow the news. So, and they found that hundreds of people were tuning into that desired state. And you know what? The crime rate fell measurably. So never, ever underestimate the power of prayer. In fact, as I have often shared, you know, my time in the hospital for 3 months, closer to death than to life, people prayed for me all over the place, people I had never met. And when I finally got back out again, one coworker insisted that I come to her church. And I said, well, that's not really my vibe. No, please do come. And when I came with her to the church, people started coming up to me, shaking my hand, hugging me, and said, we're so glad to finally meet the person we prayed to for such a long time. Oh. You know, isn't that beautiful? They never met me, but the power of prayer. Prayer doesn't need a script, a sigh. Did you know that even that can be a prayer? So can thank you. It's been said that the shortest and best prayer is thank you. And when you say that really from your heart, that's all it takes. And tears, even tears can be a form of prayer. How about just saying, hello, I'm here, are you? And you know, maybe the answer is again a feeling. Yes, I am. I never left. You know, when I was barely 18, my first love died a horrible, horrible death. And at that point, I decided to shut God out of my life. I was like this angry child that was hurting so much. And I had been with him in the hospital every day, and it was hard for a young person. And so one evening, I think I had a couple of glasses of wine. I was in Germany, of course, and I opened the windows in the night sky, and I screamed out, okay, if you let this happen, I don't need you anymore. And I slammed the window shut. And you know what? God accepts that too. because I do believe that God respects our free will. And I have to tell you, from there on, my life did not get better. In fact, I had to deal with addiction. You know, those couple of glasses of wine were not the first and they were not the last ones. And so it wasn't until I was ready, and I was, I think at that time, almost 35, when through recovery, I opened my heart again to God. And you know, it made all the difference in the world. And as you know, I'm a minister today, so a total shift, complete shift. I would suggest we say one prayer together, if you like. And maybe you want to just close your eyes and feel into the words. And if you wish, you can whisper them along. I'll give you a little break after each line. Spirit of love and light,
Spirit of love and light,
who dwell within me, within all things, who dwell within all things. Guide my heart today.
guide my heart today.
Where I judge, help me forgive.
Where I judge, help me forgive.
Where I fear, bring peace.
Where I fear, bring peace.
Where I grasp, teach me to trust.
Where I grasp, teach me to trust.
May I walk gently, speak truthfully, and love deeply.
May I walk gently, speak truthfully, and love deeply.
And may I remember I am never alone.
May I remember I am never alone.
Doesn't that feel good? And you know, when we say amen, or so be it, that too is a statement of releasing that request to the heavens. Yes? Mahatma Gandhi left us with a beautiful quote. True prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul. It is a daily admission of one's weakness. It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart. That brings it home, doesn't it? I have a few quotes from wonderful people. I always love to access quotes that sort of gives a bit more foundation. This one is from a man I don't know, Abraham Joshua Heschel. To pray is to take notice of the wonder, to regain a sense of the mystery that animates all beings. Wonder and mystery. Isn't that beautiful? Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You know, sometimes I do this little practice where Hawk is one of my animal guides, and I envision that I can rise to the level of Hawk, and from there I can look down on my life, and I can see things that maybe when we're in the thick of it aren't that obvious. So, highest point of view. And here is something similar to what was said. In prayer, it is better to have a heart without words than words without a heart. One more from Gandhi. Prayer is not an old woman's idle amusement. Properly understood and applied, it is the most potent instrument of action. Wow, action, you know? And of course, Gandhi was this perfect example of nonviolence and how through the combined intention and action, you know, intention is beautiful, but if we also follow it up with action, it becomes much more powerful. And one last one by Mother Teresa. God speaks in the silence of the heart. Listening is the beginning of prayer. And we all know that prayer is talking to God, meditation is listening to God. But even in prayer, we can listen, yes? And I always like to have a little humor. You know, those you know me. And this may sound very familiar to you. A woman was running late for an important meeting. She circled the crowded parking lot over and over, muttering, "Oh, Spirit, please, just one spot, just one." Hands up, who's done that? There you go. Right. Finally, in desperation, she shouted, "If you find me a parking spot in the next 30 seconds, I promise to meditate every morning, eat less sugar, and finally read that spiritual book I bought 3 years ago." You know, bargaining. I have bargained with God. Have you? Yeah. All right. Just as she turned the corner, a car pulled out of the perfect spot right near the entrance. She gasped, then quickly added, "Never mind, I found one." All right, so I've been there. And so in closing, I'd like to offer up to encourage you to pray from your heart. And you know, every now and then, bargaining is okay. I bargained with God when I was in the coma, and I just said, "Get me through this," and I mean, after the coma, "Get me through this and I will be of service." And guess what? God's kept her side of the deal, and so have I. So know that even when we fumble, Spirit hears us. Prayer is not about perfection. It is about presence. Blessings.